afraid. Be very afraid.
General vibes about South Korean horror. We kind of got into it a little bit already, but how does it stack up?
Like it. I generally find the South Korean stuff to be scarier at this point than a lot of the American stuff.
Ooh, kind of like Ryan said earlier.
It goes that one step further. Like, I feel like there's too much. Not, I want to say there's too much regulations because you got indie filmmakers doing what they got to do. We've seen with Obsession, you got the choice with the R rating, the NC-17 rating, but over in Europe and Asia and there, it's like freedom.
If we
You can
can't
do whatever you want.
Where else is producing? China's been trying to throw stuff out there. They're doing a lot of anime and stuff now. I don't think I can think of a single Chinese movie, mainstream Chinese movie that got big worldwide. What about Japanese?
Oh, Japan
Japanese, yeah.
Japan kills it too. Japan and South Korean horror are just amazing. And then you get the like little sneaky ones and down in there that you don't ever think about, like Thailand is killing it with some horror. He gets occasionally some good stuff from like the Philippines. There may be a lot more than a little good stuff from some of these places. It's just not as popular now yet.
We did two movies at the very least, Basilisk and Sweet Home. Not Sweet Home. What's the name of the giant chicken movie again?
Oh, Zombieology.
Zombieology.
Zombieology is definitively Japanese, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, Zombieology. So it's a Japanese produced
okay.
movie, and then Basilisk is produced in Turkey or Romania or some kind of.
Oh, Basket.
Baskin.
Baskin, not Basilisk. That's an anime, by the way. That's why
I was like,
got
are
my
we
wires
talking about?
But
we
yeah,
talking about
by the way,
anime, right?
everybody, we are still talking about Train to Busan, Part 2.
Yes.
But, all right, so we've done 2 foreign films so far. This would make our 3rd.
Well, I mean, Pans.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that counts. But I mean, Guillermo
Before.
del Toro's house is like in LA, isn't it?
Yeah,
but
I don't think it was when you did Pans.
Okay,
No.
fair enough.
I think Pans was still very foreign.
Okay,
they consider it a Spanish.
I
film.
generally count anything that I have to watch with subtitles on as foreign.
Okay, so 4 foreign movies.
Or
Yeah,
Well,
I
that
mean,
makes
and
us
then
racist
and then
because
the
we've done
English
89
and
episodes or something.
the English and the Irish. We hit Ireland.
Oh, we can count that,
Holcomb.
can't we?
yeah,
Boys
we
from
can.
County
Holcomb.
Hell.
All right, but that's
Holcomb.
who
and
bankrolled
Oddity.
that though. Those are bankrolled by U.S. studios.
Oddity,
Yeah.
maybe not. Boys
Oddity,
from
definitely.
County Hell.
That
Yep.
one I'll count. That one's the true Irish one.
All right, so 5.
5.
5.
Yeah, because if it's like Universal Studios presents
I feel
Eastern
Oddity,
Romanian horror.
though. Oddity,
Mhm.
though, I feel was like more independent than Holcomb. Holcomb was more Hollywood.
Holcomb's definitely more Hollywood.
We
I
can
think
consider
Oddity.
We
you
can
could
consider
count.
Oddity, yeah. We can do it.
6.
So we can
All
give it a
right.
6. Give it a 6.
6
That's
out of
also
how
like
many episodes?
we were talking about
2
how
more.
we were
Hold on.
Oh wait, we got 2 more.
The Dead Snows.
Oh, yes.
yeah.
So we did 8.
We did
All
those
right.
so
We've
early.
done
We
at
were
least-
just babies.
So, yeah,
back then.
we're running about a tenth of our movies being foreign. There might be a few more.
Yeah, there's a couple out
let's
there.
throw Kronos on there. Let's throw Cure on there.
Yeah, just to stack up the numbers. But all right, so what
Yeah.
I like about this is that it's a nice blend of action and horror. Kind of like The Host was too. There was the one where the like demons from hell came and were rapturing, like anti-rapturing people. That was South Korean as well. I forgot to bring that up. That's a TV show. Maybe that's Hellbound.
Might be.
that's-
Because that feels
Might
like
be.
him, because that's very action forward too, but it's also scary. They just zip in, like you're in traffic, and then they just zap in and start tossing cars around, and they rip one dude out of the car, and then they bring him to hell. And people are like
Yes.
living in this world where that just happens sometimes. They're steroided up like dudes like from the movie Ghosts, when they used to take the bad guys away at the end of Ghost. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of like
These
Patrick
two-
Swayze
I think
right now.
I rebooted John's hard drive on that one. He was like, but yeah, the action
Yeah.
forward thing is fun. But there's a few scenes where they get out of the train, where they get to different stops and they have to get out and do things. right? And
Well,
one of
like
the funny things you guys brought up was the audacity of asking if a pregnant woman can run. If a pregnant woman can run.
it's I mean, it was her husband because it's oh god, not Younggook. What's his name? Sang-hwa. Yep, Sang-hwa.
Yeah.
Says it to his wife, Seong Kyung. That like she's got to run, and I'm like watching it. I'm like the audacity to tell her to run. I mean, I get it. Zombies are chasing you, but
Well,
just to
he's
like
also holding them off. I would have told her to run
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
fair,
Like I'm
fair.
gonna potentially sacrifice myself. Get to stepping. We got to make moves.
Mhm.
He's
Yeah. He's the first guy that really steps up in this movie and to take it on.
Mhm.
He wraps his arms up with the tape, like he's in there. He's like a gladiator.
he's awesome. And does this predate World War Z or is it post World War Z?
I think this is
It's
Pope.
pretty close to the same thing. It's definitely after the book.
Definitely after the book, because the wrapping of the forearm
Mhm.
happens in both movies as well. I was wondering
Yeah.
if one was borrowed.
So 3 years apart. World War Z came out 2013.
Actually, both of those ripped it off from 28 Days Later anyway. I think
Yeah.
that happens in the 28 Days Later movie as well, where he
With
pulls that
Cillian
move.
Murphy.
Yep. So never mind. They both are thieves. But I'm glad you guys brought up what's his name, Sang-hwa, because he's the only like hero through and through this movie. He's a hero from the first time you see him all the way to the end, whereas Seok-woo is more of a growth, a character
Yeah.
growth kind of experience,
Yeah.
where he becomes the
Yeah.
dad Suan actually wanted and deserved.
Then you have
Yeah.
the villain though, Yan Suk, who's
Sucks.
He does
Yeah.
suck. He does a
He
lot of
sucks.
manipulating. He does a lot of. So he, at one point in time, tricks the people into kicking out the survivors after they just waded their way through a ton of zombies throughout the train to get to where they needed to go. It was like, oh. And
Well, I mean, that's a gut punch, but that's one of the only times I kind of understand where he's coming from.
yeah, because you don't know if they're bitten.
You don't know. Yeah.
yeah, it's true.
But that's not
But
why he did it. He did it because Seok-woo was calling him out.
Mhm.
he punched him, and that's like where that whole incident happened.
Yeah.
CEO punches him in the face. He's like, they're infected, but he's just a jerk the entire film.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
brutal.
absolutely.
There's two characters we haven't brought up yet, but it's Young Guk, who's the baseball player, and Jin Hee, who's the girl who had a crush on him, and they both happen to live after the whole baseball team gets wiped out, yada yada. They go through some action sequences together. They're kind of just along for the ride. They're not really developed much or anything. But Jin
No.
Hee's purpose is for Young Suk to be a jerk to her.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he wrecks her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's consistently awful to her.
The villain just gets her at the end. Basically, like, trips her so he can get away, but it's worse than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty brutal.
He's a bad guy, and like he's the kind of guy that you use in these movies to show that people are often worse than the zombies.
Yep. They don't lean on it too
It's-
heavily. They don't make it the theme,
No,
which I like too.
no. But
It
there's
intro-
there's a lot of social commentary built in around him.
Yeah.
And some of it is one of the reasons we don't do more foreign so far is it's harder to talk about some of the commentary that comes up in there because I'm not South Korean. I don't know what their society is really like. But the thing with him is a universal, corporate greed, corporate villain guy keeping everybody below him down. And in this case, putting them all at risk.
Yeah. That sounds about right. That sounds like kind of we can identify, Japanese can identify. So, I don't know. Just so much about this movie to talk about.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of other social commentaries going on in here. A lot of it is South Korean specific. You know, the two older women on the train. There's a lot of things built around that about, you know, the loneliness of being elderly in South Korea, and you know, it's their sort of social security system is not fully functional. You know, a lot of old people live in poverty and, you know, sort of abandoned by loved ones and, you know, alone, and they bond with one another, and that's kind of the case with those two.
Yeah, that was a
sucks.
tear jerker too.
That absolutely sucks. Well,
But-
thanks for that, Debbie Downer. Jeez.
Oh, yeah. I got an interesting question.
Okay.
How did these zombies become unalive? Because they've gotten cracked in the head multiple times with bats throughout the movie. They've been punched, right? Like, there's no ending them. They are like
That's a
continuous.
good question because we didn't really see any of them get put down for good.
No.
They don't rely on firearms, which I think if they showed more use of firearms, we might get a definitive answer to this.
Well, yes, definitely.
Yeah, and I would guess based on the end, they've learned that firearms are effective.
Yep, I was going to say because of that one scene. God, what a great ending. What a great ending.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean, it really, you know, you get a couple of small emotional scenes. You know, the old lady's kind of sad, but up until, I mean, it's a little sad. You know, the one seeing the other
Her sister.
turned,
Yeah.
on the other. Like, I mean, that's kind of emotional, but it's really the whole vibe changes once they're off the train.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep. I agree completely. Can you explain that a little bit more for the listeners, what you mean by that?
The train is like the action. It's the zombie survival. And you get a little bit of that in the moments when they're first off the train where it becomes survival, but then it becomes, you know, you really dramatic at that point where it's, you know, now we're not running, we're dying. We're losing people in the cast now that you didn't think you were going to lose.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's a twist.
It's probably a good time to yeah, we're going to spoil this now. We
did a good job of not spoiling it yet, too.
We did.
This is the point in the video where we will spoil the ending of this movie.
So if you haven't seen this 10-year-old movie yet, pause, watch it, come back in a couple hours and finish this up.
Yeah, it's free. Just get through the 10-minute SPCA commercials. You'll be fine.
Just go buy it. Just think.
Yeah.
Seriously, I don't think the Blu-ray is more than $15 now. Go buy it.
$12 on Amazon, and the Steelbook I think right now is on sale for $20.
Yeah, just get it. Just go get it. It's worth it. But anyway, back to the end, and
The ending is crazy.
That last 20 minutes, they get off the train. They've reached, you know, there's a derailed train. They can't go down that line further. The operator of the train hops off to try to find a functional train,
which he
does. He
does.
can continue on, and he
gets
does.
There's some other fun stuff that happens, causes a derailment, all highly outlandish, action-oriented stuff. We
the flaming train?
Yeah, we get what's his name? Jan Sucks to he kills a few people trying to save himself and all that.
Yeah.
And we whittle down our cast down to 3 survivors. Right?
3 survivors and Jan Suk, whose fate is a little unclear for a bit there. You know, you get our operator gets a train in motion. Jan Suk gets on that, and then eventually Seong, Suan, and Seok get to that running train. They're able to get on and fight off zombies. They go to open the driver's car, and there's just zombie businessman.
Yep. He's waiting there sucking. And there's
he hasn't turned yet.
He
doesn't turn.
He turns.
Yeah, he's
Like, yeah, they do a good job with that. He turns like during
Yeah.
the discussion, which is fine.
Which I
Yeah.
want to rewind real quick before that. What did you guys think of the train car when they're crushing down? You see the zombies going through the glass and stuff. Like, weren't you on the edge of the seat when you
Loved it.
first watched it? Loved it.
I really love the scenes of the zombies in the glass in this movie.
Yep.
In the first train station when it's the zombie soldiers crashing through glass,
God, yeah.
and then crashing through the glass of a train car. Like that's really good. I like that.
And it's
Just
unique.
so
Having the idea of zombies suspended above you and a pane of glass being between you and them is just great tension.
Yep.
it's just that close quarters, that claustrophobia,
Can we
That
Yeah.
shit.
can we just discuss at the end when Seok-woo decides to shove his hand into Yeon-suk's mouth? That's completely unnecessary. Am I the only one who thinks that?
No, you're not. And there,
No.
Didn't he?
when we get to reviews, you'll hear more of that.
Good, because what the hell, bro?
What else was he gonna do? I mean, if he was trying to protect his daughter
I
and
think of like
stuff. So
7 or 8 things that he could have done besides shoving his hand in the mouth of the zombie,
Yeah,
sealing
I
his
mean,
face.
I mean, there are a few moments even before that where it looked like he could have had some leverage to just sort of let gravity take Yeon-suk off the train,
Yep. But
and he,
I'm glad that I brought it up then. Well, it'll come up in the reviews. We'll hear what the other people have to say. But that's the only thing that irks me about this movie. I was like, if you're going to do that, make it a non-negotiable. Make it something that had to happen to him, not a choice he made. That doesn't look like he had to have made that choice in the first place, but I digress.
well, when
Yep.
I was gonna say when he keeps focusing on the chain on the train, I kept thinking that he would have went over, and then he would have been caught on the chain and maybe bit his ankle in that direction. Because I mean, the only way I feel like this movie is different is that part.
Yeah.
But that scene when
Yeah.
he's talking to her, like you lose that scene then,
That's
and that's like an important part.
Well, I mean, you don't have to lose it. You can get there in other ways. It's just the blatant hand in his mouth.
Yeah, the way they do that scene, Ryan, is what we're talking about.
I
And
mean,
you
I
can
mean,
keep
the-
defending it, but the guy who's
the-
going to write a bad review is going to say exactly what I'm thinking, I'm sure.
the outcome works. Him, Seok-woo getting bit works. You had already established Suan had a recital at school and she was supposed to sing and she wouldn't sing. And it's because he wasn't there. So she didn't want to sing her song for other people and not for him. And that's the growth. But it's also, it's also kind of in doing that, it's sort of minimizes his growth too, because now he's leaving his daughter anyway.
Yeah.
Heroic or not, he's now forced himself to get bit. And, we know that's the end. And we're left with just pregnant Seong and Suan.
Yep. And that's, after that scene, I mean, that's a nail biter too at the end with the soldiers. And I really thought we were going to get a unhappy ending, and I would have been fine with it. I'll be honest.
Absolutely.
I
No.
would be fine with it.
It didn't need the unhappy ending, but my goodness, if you didn't believe in those last few moments that you were about to get the unhappy ending,
Made the choice of even putting that in there worthwhile to me as well, because like if they had just had them walk into safety, it wouldn't have had nearly as much impact as being like, oh, no, clip them. And then they have her singing her little song, which, like he said, harkens back to their whole relationship with her dad, which is the whole thing the movie's about. I think it's a movie about being a decent father and not wasting your time at work, but actually being with your kids, which is why I declare today that I am quitting my job. I got to feed them and clothe them and house them. Never mind, but maybe soon.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I doubt it.
yeah, probably not.
I'm telling you guys,
maybe.
we just got to start robbing bitches. Just not like ladies. I mean, like bitches. Like the the metaphorical ones, like the
I'm
people
ready.
like Seok-woo. They be robbing us. Let's be robbing them.
I got my pantyhose ready from Raising Arizona.
I bet you do.
So, is that why you have pantyhose, Ryan? Is that really why you have pantyhose?
Yes, it's one of my favorite movies. Coen Brothers, 1992? 92?
No, it's 80s for
89,
sure.
89, 89, 89.
Ryan.
I know, I'm slipping a little bit.
No, I'm more concerned about the pantyhose.
Yeah.
It's just for the cover the face.
Oh,
I mean, this all
like
said,
David
we've
Carradine
we've
kind of
just
thing
put
in
our
that whole time.
our criminal conspiracy on record, so we should probably not commit crimes.
Raising
Yeah.
Arizona.
Yeah,
it's
this
okay.
isn't about actually committing crimes. I'll see you guys
No
on 4chan
crimes.
later. But yeah, let's get into some reviews.
5 stars. One of the best zombie movies out there. The storyline was great. Character development was there. Action-packed and suspenseful scenes. You truly feel yourself hating the main antagonist, which is surprisingly not the zombies. Overall, great story.
Good review.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yep. All right. And now we get to the 1 stars. This one's a little longer than I usually include, but it touches on some of the stuff that I think people would find issue with, and some of it they just don't understand. 1 star. This film is an absolute joke. It makes no sense whatsoever. First of all, why did they cast a woman who is clearly in her 30s to play a grandmother? And why on earth would this grandmother open a door to a bunch of zombies? I think we explained that.
Yes.
Then there's the guy at the end who decides to put his hand in the mouth of a zombie. Real cinematic brilliance there.
I mean,
Because as everyone knows, the best way to fight a biting zombie is to literally offering up your own body parts. Genius. Can someone also explain why the weird limping guy at the start of the film goes on about how everyone is dead, only for us to never find out who he is or how he knew everything before anyone else? Watch Soul Station, you'll understand. It felt like they put so much effort into building his character, but he ended up being as irrelevant as any NPC. That was seriously disappointing. And why is there just one guy clever enough to fight the zombies while half the world, including the military, is completely useless? Yeah, I think you've staggered in a different movie here. The lack of logic is staggering. I could go on, but it's pointless since everyone else apparently thinks this is the most amazing zombie movie ever made for some reason. Long story short, a pretty terrible movie with terrible acting. P.S. Love the Audi product placement though.
So we know they drive an Audi. That's good.
Yeah, or
I
at
didn't
least
pick up on
long to
that.
drive an Audi.
Yeah.
They wish. I
Yeah.
disagree. I mean, I get the hand thing as we were discussing, but I mean, to each its own.
None of that stuff pulls you away from all the amazing aspects. Yeah,
No.
I hadn't really thought about the fact that they cast a 30-year-old to play the grandma and like did her up in the
Yeah.
makeup. I don't know if that's his cousin or
Yeah.
something. Whatever. But she does the job.
I mean,
You know, peels
she
the
did more
boiled egg
movement.
and all that stuff. It's fine.
Mhm. Yeah. Like, I mean, that doesn't really affect me in any way watching this movie.
You know,
The only thing that he says that I can get behind is the sticking the hand in the mouth.
Yep. And that to me is like you're gonna find out when I give my review. It's not that big of a deal.
Nope. And one more 1 star. 1 star. I'm literally furious right now. It gets plus half a star for Granny opening the train doors after her sister gets eaten. But I am so mad at the rest of this dumbassery.
That
The
was the
emotional-
dumbest assery in the movie.
Emotional high at the end doesn't really hit when you put your hand over a zombie's mouth and then get bit. He could have tossed him over the side before he got combative. He could have used literally any other part of a whole dude's body, but no, we're stuck with this. And then you give the sad pinky piano music like I should be sad and feel bad. Nah, that's all you, buddy. I feel nothing but vitriol
You
for
feel
this
nothing is right. So that's a person who didn't pick up on the entire character arc of Seok-woo becoming Suwon's dad, and like that whole over, which they hammer home further when they're walking through the tunnel and she sings the song because her dad is gone, but like actually was there. That's just,
Dad was present when I needed him.
exactly. And just like how gripping and heartbreaking that is. So this guy also sucks. This is it's a chud review.
Yeah,
So-
it
You're a
is.
chud, sir.
Let's see if either of you are chuds or did you love Train to Busan?
I want Ryan to go first because he gets corrupted by our reviews.
I don't get corrupted. Everyone thinks I get corrupted. It's a little bit sometimes, but I see the view. But I'm gonna give this a 4.25. 4.25 out of 5.
That's it?
It's not.
Master. I
What?
guarantee you he would have gone higher after. If you said 5, you would have been like, I like a 4 star. It's a 5. It's a 5.
No, it's a 4.25. It's a really good zombie film. I was telling John that it's definitely out of my top 5 zombie films to watch, besides the first George Romero trilogy and Return of the Living Dead. I feel Train to Busan hits not only with the horror, the thrill, but there's emotion in it. And I feel like watching a lot of zombie films recently more, there has to be this message that resonates with the audience besides the zombies unaliving everyone. And this hits home. And it's just beautifully done. I mean, yeah, okay. He puts his hand in the zombie's mouth. That was his only way. He thought he can save his daughter and, the pregnant woman, Quick thinking. 4.25. I'm sticking with it.
4.75 on me.
I'm going 5 stars.
Down the 0.25 off is the hand thing. I get that Seok-woo needed to turn, but they could have done it better. That's all. It just didn't. You have such an immaculate film, and then that really sticks out because it's a stain on an immaculate film. With that, I probably would have given it a 5. It's not quite there to be like the blue star rating, but it's so good. I was excited for the first time in a long time. Like Pans made me excited too, but to see this come up on the rotation, I was like, oh my God, I remember this movie, and just got excited because I really enjoyed this movie. The end.
Yeah. And I'm right with you. This is a 4.75 for me. It's about as close to a 5 as you can get without getting to a 5. And it really is that one moment that keeps it from being a 5. The other way for Siak to get bit, I'm cool with. I can make that work. But to do it that way sort of misses me a bit. But the rest of this is just as good as you can get for me.
I mean, it's literally like every other option. So many ways to go.
Yep.
I digress.
But yeah, 4.75.
Man. All right. Well, guys, it is time for your top 5s.
Top 5s. Top 5s tonight. I am going with top 5 foreign films. And we're going to start it off. We're going to 1972 with a Spanish Portuguese horror film. It's a film I should have never watched at a young age, but I watched it. I snuck in my uncle's closet. He had his horror films, put in the VCR, and I got to see. Oh, no,
Boobies.
that's not the title. Yes, there are boobies in Tombs of the Blind Dead. The background is that the legend has it that in an abandoned medieval town of Berzano, the Knights of Templar, fictionalized version of the real life order that was dissolved in the 14th century, leave their tombs at night and come back from the dead as revenants. their reanimated corpses are brought blind because their eyes were pecked out by birds because they practice witchcraft. But it's a great film. It's got a few sequels. If you love the medieval horror, it hits it right. And it's not a happy ending, which, and that leads to my number 4. My number 4, we've talked about it before, and that's House by the Cemetery, 1981. Released in America, but it is definitely a foreign film because it was produced in Italy, edited in Italy. So it's a great film too. The idea of being in the house of a murderer, basically, and then the murderer still living after all these years. It's a slow build, but it hits the spot. And then we get to number 3. We mentioned this too before. Kronos, Guillermo del Toro's first film outing. I thought you were gonna say something. What, Guillermo?
No, we're just gonna let you roll with it this time. We're done. We're done mocking you.
Guillermo.
Well, Guillermo, the idea of a antique owner finding a scarab that allows you to live forever is just a brilliant idea of the vampire story in relation to Egyptian lore. And then we get to number 2. I just saw this today for the first time, and that's Ju-on, The Grudge. I've never seen it before. Yeah, I've never even seen the American version either. I avoided all of that, and to be honest, I'm happy I did because the original one is where you have to go. Don't watch the American remakes. Go with the original one. I didn't even know The Ring was the Japanese remake until we talked about it. Japanese remake. But I digress because number 1 is definitely something we need to cover. I don't want to get into it a lot because I don't want to spoil it. It's called Cure. John recommended, watched it, loved it. If you love Seven, you're going into that world, minus the gore because it's more of the psychology, that psychological horror than the gore horror, and that's all I'm gonna leave it at that. But those are my top 5 horror foreign films. And John, what's up to you tonight, man? What's your top 5?
So my top 5 winds up being more than a top 5, but you'll understand as I go through it. So my top 5 is really 5 more zombie movies where people are the bigger threat than the zombies are.
Okay.
So my number 5, we talked about episode 3. So go back and listen. It's Overlord. And how can a zombie style movie that has Nazis in it have the zombies be any worse than the Nazis? So the survivors are worse than the zombies in this case because they're Nazis, and they're not only more dangerous, they're also creating the undead army that is causing the threat in an attempt to build a super soldier. Small group of Americans on a secret mission stumble upon the experiment and must stop the Nazis. Go back and listen to episode 3.
Okay.
And see what we thought about Overlord.
Plug in Overlord.
Absolutely.
That's the one with our animated features too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. My number 4 is a remake. And it's a remake of Romero.
Oh.
I'm going with
Really?
the Crazies.
Oh, nice.
Crazies.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yep. So a toxin turns town people into flesh-starved monsters. Survivors attempt to band together and escape. But escape will not be easy as the military has set up a perimeter with instructions to shoot all citizens in this remake of a George Romero classic. So yeah, it's the military. The military, and generally when you see the military show up in a zombie movie, they are going to be worse than the zombies. See Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on your shirt too.
Yeah, it is on my shirt. My number 3, we're going to go to Robert Rodriguez and his half of Grindhouse. And you get the double, you get the bad military guys, but you also get the bad doctor. So in Robert Rodriguez's half of Grindhouse, it's not just the military that puts survivors at risk, but also a deranged spouse. Dr. William Block is not willing to let his wife, Dr. Dakota Block, leave him and goes to great and horrifying lengths to ensure that if he can't have her, no one will. Here's where we get into more than one her. My number two, we'll call it 28 Days Later, but it's the entire franchise. The people are just as bad as the zombies in 28 Days Later. It's the military again. So recurring theme in the entire franchise is the hell of other people. In the aftermath of a viral outbreak, survivors in England attempt to flee the city to a remote area that promises a safe haven, only to discover that the soldiers in charge are just as ravenous as the infected chasing them.
Word.
And I think we can all guess where I'm going number one, because I can't do a list of anything related to zombies without George Romero. My number one is going to be Dawn, Dawn of the Dead, but it can really be any of the Romero zombie movies because there's always the underlying theme of how awful the other survivors is. And in Dawn, it's consistent, whether it's a TV producer ordering closed rescue stations to stay on the air, or a SWAT team member losing it on a apartment complex, to a marauding biker gang wrecking the sanctity of the mall. The survivors in Dawn are every bit as dangerous as the zombies. And you can say that about people in Night. You can say that about the military in Day. You can say it about Dennis Hopper in Land. It's the whole everything he did. People are just as bad, and that's my top 5 this week.
Now that was a twist. I thought you were gonna say Night of the Living Dead for the one character. I'm forgetting his name, the father. I thought you were gonna go in that direction, but Dawn. No, Dawn was. You nail it right on the head. I feel like he's got a lot going on. You know,
Yeah.
with that, with a lot of society compared to Day and Night.
Yeah. Every step of the way in Dawn, it's the people.
You can go so many ways with these movies. Like we touched on that this one's really an eco terror movie, but it's 100% also talks about like what types of people suck.
Yep.
And Romero's movies all have that deeper theme as well, about people being the real problem. And most movies you watch, everything gets screwed up by a guy or a gal opening a door. Yeah, it was 28 weeks later, is the kids outside banging on the door, and they got to let them in. I mean, we all probably would have done the same thing, but that's human error.
Yep. And the first bad dad we encountered.
Yep. Like one of the best scenes. I mean,
it's so brutal. She gets hit sticked in the window, and you're like, "Oh no!" And that's William Wallace's wife. She gets taken out. 2 movies that we've seen.
Yep.
It's terrible. But anyway, guys, that was Train to Busan. We hope you enjoyed.
So check it out. Watch the film. Watch the podcast, and don't take any trains.
Or do.
Or take them.
Public transit. Yeah.
Yeah.
$50.
See ya.